Hello everyone, this is a different video than what I usually make. So I can admit, as a DC fan, DC hasn't particularly been hitting shit out of the park. But there's a show that you probably heard of if you went on any type of social media called Peacemaker, starring John Cena, and was written and directed by James Gunn. I have to say, this is some of the best shit I've ever seen for not even DC, I think superhero television shows overall. Now, I haven't seen, all of the Marvel TV shows. I haven't seen fucking What If or Loki I want to start watching, or the fucking Winter Soldier one. But, dear God, this is so amazing, because it combines a lot of elements that I want to see DC do. It combines a lot of gory shit and violence. It provides good characters, solid comedy, and overall just a really not as dark tone, but it has dark undertones. So what I'm going to do is more or less, I'm going to talk about why I love the show and why you should go binge watch the whole 8-episode season. Now, the main premise of the show, we follow the anti-hero, supervillain, superhero, whatever, Peacemaker, in his pursuit of doing peace and a cause. Now, I will go into some spoiler territory later, but basically, he meets this team on the first episode. He meets up with this team who are part of Waller's organization. They start to hunt down these species, these specific targets. We get to meet a lot of cool cast members and all that stuff. We get to meet the character Hardcourt, who is this really cold, tough, brooding, but also very funny and comedic character, which that's not even getting into much of her character. We get to meet Vigilante, who's this goofy, homicidal nerd character that everyone loves, and there's a lot of really cool scenes with him. We get to meet John Economos, who was actually from the previous film, along with Hardcourt, I believe, who is this kind of nerdy, kind of socially awkward, but really down-to-earth character that you get to see some very emotional beats that very hit hard for a lot of viewers. For me personally, I think he was one of my favorite characters in the show. We get to meet Clemson Mern, who I originally thought he was going to be an input for Waller, and I guess that's true. But really, I like him way more than Waller, because there's a lot more funny scenes with him, there's a lot more character, and a surprising twist with his story later on in the show that I might get into. I probably won't. And then we get to meet, of course, Abednego, who is a newcomer to the team overall, and we find out in that episode, since this isn't the first episode, I'll just get into it, that she is Waller's daughter, and that provides a kind of a cool little twist to the show that we get to see transform later on in certain episodes. We also in this episode we get to meet side characters such as Augie Smith, who is Peacemaker's racist, bigoted father, who we get to see some pretty cool scenes with him and some awesome fight scenes between him and Peacemaker. So yeah, getting into the actual story of the show, I would say the only thing that I could really shit on the show are two things. Sometimes the jokes don't land personally for me. There's a few bits that kind of go on for a bit longer, but some of the really long jokes are funny as hell. There's this bit later on about how there's this bit later on where they talk about framing someone, and John Cena apparently ad-lib, aka improv, the whole scene where he just starts naming people. Real life actresses, actors, cartoon characters, superheroes, and all that shit. And I think it's kind of funny, but there's other jokes that kind of just go on for way too fucking long. And the only other thing is sometimes the CGI that they use, especially on the character Eagly, doesn't look amazing. But that might have been just for the first episode because it was a pilot and they didn't have exactly the best budget. But especially when you have James Gunn and John Cena putting money behind it, or having some power behind it, I would assume that they have a really good budget. This is getting into spoiler territory, especially for the last episode. So if you don't want to see any spoilers, go to this point in the video. But the last episode is very different to me, because it has a definitive ending, I would say. There isn't really anything more holding the show back from what happens. Now, to summarize the episode really quick, they finally go to the barn and kill the cow. In this very awesome fight scene, we get to see Hardcourt get hurt and suffering in the hospital, and John being by her side the whole time. Everything kind of wraps up. I really couldn't see it. We all see the characters go their own ways. Vigilante and Peacemaker are still having fun dicking around. We get to see John Economos go back to the Bellevue prison, or the prison that this all started in. We get to see Hardcourt actually go through physical therapy. She's not good the next day. She struggles and shit. And we see Abednego go back with her fiance, and they get to live being on the mission for so long. There is this kind of bittersweet ending, which I'm going to get into, because in the final episode, the final two episodes, it's explained that John Cena's character, Peacemaker, sees his father as kind of I guess he's not being deluded or anything. He more or less sees him as the reason he kills, because his father was the one that started him on this path. He forced him to fight his brother, not kill him, but John Cena, Peacemaker he's upset about that. And it ends with him just sipping a beer. He's not happy about it. He's just looking off bewildered. as shit. And the show ends with eagerly dropping a dead opossum as it replicated in the first episode. Which I thought that was kind of neat. Also, I forgot to mention this. Fucking Jason Momoa and the guy who plays Flash show up in the last fucking episode for a cameo because apparently the Justice League shows up to kill the cow, except they were too fucking late. I thought that was really fucking cool. I'm not even gonna lie. Because it proves that they are connected to the Justice League, because I was very confused on where it actually stood in the timeline because the Suicide Squad show. But anyway, I would say this is one of the best TV superhero shows I have ever seen. I enjoyed it. I was surprised by John Cena because I've only really seen him in mid roles, I would say. Because my first time seeing John Cena was in Scooby-Doo, in WrestleMania, and the fucking Ghost Bear thing. But if you guys have not seen the show, please, I encourage you to watch it. If not for the action, if not for the amazing characters, if not for the amazing story, if not for the amazing fucking acting, go watch it for the bitchin' soundtrack. Because there's this amazing scene in like a few episodes before the season finale where Monster, I can't remember the specific artist behind it, I'll throw it up on screen, starts blasting, and it's fucking sick because it's like, it's I can't go into it because it's spoiler territory, but please go watch it. I think it's like episode 6 or 5 or something like that. I love it so much. It's awesome. But please go watch it. It's on HBO Max. I'll link it down below. Anyway, y'all have a great day, great night, great midday, great midnight. I'll be seeing you in the next one, and make sure not to die.